this video is sponsored by Competitive Cyclist. You may also see products from my personal sponsors such as GT Bikes, Noble Wheels, and Onyx Racing used as props throughout this video. Today we're looking at 7 different mountain bike products, and they all have one thing in common. They're all pretty nifty. They either solve a common problem or can make your life a little simpler. So with that being said, let's get to it. The first product we're taking a look at is this set of Allen keys. Now, this is no ordinary set of Allen keys. This set of Allen keys comes to us from a German company called Wera, and it has a trick up its sleeve. Until last year, I'd never heard of them, but they've been in the business since the 1930s. This set comes in a nice carrying case to help keep things organized when you're on the go, and have all of the sizes you need from a size 8 all the way down to a size 2. And they even include 2 Torx wrenches, a size 25 and a size 10. The reason these originally caught my eye is because that they're color coordinated. This makes it a lot easier to grab the size you need when you're in a rush. They follow this rainbow color scheme where the biggest is a purple and the smallest is a turquoise, but for some reason, they decided to make the middle one a purple too. The tool itself is made out of a stainless steel, which means it shouldn't rust. It's also not using a traditional hexagon profile. Wera is calling their profile a Hex Plus. It's supposed to offer greater contact surface and prevent rounding out of bolts. But the thing that separates this tool from the rest is a spring-loaded mechanism on the ball inside of the hex key. This helps retain the bolt that you're working with without using your hands. As somebody who frequently drops bolts on the ground and gets super frustrated trying to look for them, this is a much welcome feature, and I don't know why no other company has thought of doing this before. As a mountain biker and tinkerer, I feel like I'm constantly trying to measure things, and a lot of those things I'm trying to measure happen to be very small, but that's where this digital caliper comes into play. For those of you who work as a machinist or an engineer, I'm sure you already own several sets of calipers, but for those of you who are uninitiated, calipers are useful for taking 4 different measurements: outside diameter measurements, inside measurements, depth measurements, and step measurements. I use this all the time to figure out what size seat post or seat post clamp I need to order. In fact, on the back of the caliper, there's even a handy lookup chart with some of the most common parts you'll be measuring and their standard sizes. This isn't something I'd keep in my travel tool case, but for your home workshop, you'll probably find yourself reaching for this more than you initially think. A skipping chain can be rather frustrating, and one of the many causes can be a chain that's worn out. For this reason, it's a good idea to periodically replace them. But there are also tools that can help us tell if a chain is good or bad. One of those such tools is a ruler. You can measure the distance between 2 pins to see how much the chain has stretched out. On the other hand, using a chain wear specific tool, such as this one from Park Tool, is one of the easier ways to get an accurate reading. This window gives us a good reading as to how much life is left in the chain. It's worth noting that different chains have different tolerances. This 12-speed chain has plenty of life left, whereas this 11-speed chain probably could have been replaced a long time ago. Now, it's worth noting I've gone my whole bike career without using one of these chain checkers, so I wouldn't personally consider this a must-have. However, at just under 30 bucks, it's a nice tool to have around, and it certainly eliminates any guessing. One of my favorite tools I've acquired over the past few years is this Topeak mini ratchet. In fact, it's so handy that I even own 2. It comes in a nice carrying pouch to help keep things organized. In the pouch, you'll find the ratchet, hex keys sizes 2 to 8, Phillips head screw bit, 3 Torx bits, an extension, and a tire lever. What I like most about this wrench is just how compact it is. You're able to fit it into some really tight spaces. And since it's a ratchet wrench, it allows you to leave the bit inside of the head of the bolt. This makes tinkering on your bike go a lot quicker, but it also decreases the chance of you rounding out the head of the bolt. On the end of the handle, there's a magnetic spot which you can use to store an extra bit, or you can even add the extender if you need more leverage. This tool covers all your basic needs, and it's compact enough that you can throw it in your pouch or pocket and bring it on your daily rides. Out of all the products in this video, this one is the closest to being a 10 out of 10. This is one that I'd highly recommend, and there are a few other versions out there that have a few extra features. Alright, editor Phil here, and I need to take a quick break from editing this video to thank today's sponsor, and that of course is Competitive Cyclist. Now, I'm sure many of you are aware, but buying products online these days, especially from one of the major e-commerce sites, is a bit of a gamble. Many of the reviews are bought, some of the products are knockoffs, and if they do send you something, sometimes it will be a box filled with rocks. But with Competitive Cyclist, you can be assured that all the products listed on their website are from brands mountain bikers trust and use on a regular basis. And it's sad that this is a selling point, but they'll even send you the product you ordered and not a box filled with rocks. Now, all the products in this video can be purchased at competitivecyclist.com, and I'll even leave links in the description below. And if you decide to purchase them, use the promo code SKILLS15 to get 15% off your first purchase at competitivecyclist.com. That being said, I need to get back to editing and finishing up this video. Next up, we have these IXS knee pads. Now, I have to admit, I don't wear knee pads nearly as much as I should. I find them to be rather uncomfortable and hot in the climbs, and if I do bring them along, having to take off my shoes to put on pads can be rather time consuming. That's where these IXS pads come into play. The standout feature is that they have a flexible zipper running along the side. This enables you to put on your pads without taking off your shoes. It should be noted that they didn't skimp out on the zipper either. It's a YKK zipper, and that means it should hold up. Like many other knee pads these days, these pads use a malleable foam that hardens on impact. Many people really like the protection that this material offers. Personally, I find it to be a little bit heavy and when cold can be rather restrictive. Now, as much as I really wanted to like these knee pads, unfortunately I found them very difficult to put on. Something about the design made it really hard for the zipper to start zipping. But for those looking for knee pads they can take on and off without taking off their shoes, this might be the best option for you. Here, we're taking a look at the second generation Park Tool wheel holder. This tool can be mounted to your workbench using clamps or screws, but it also can be placed in a vise. This tool comes in a few pieces to accommodate the different axle sizes and axle types. And yes, that does include both through axles and bolt-on axles. While the wheel holder's job is rather basic, it adds an extra layer of convenience when working on your bike. From changing tires to changing rotors, it gives you a nice stable platform to rest the wheel on. I consider a tool like this to be a luxury, where it's not a necessity, but it can make working on your bike a whole lot more enjoyable. Out of the box, a new wheel should have even tension throughout all its spokes. However, after being subjected to rough terrain like on mountain bike trails, spokes will often stretch out, which can throw off the balance of a wheel. This Park Tool tensiometer measures how loose or tight spokes are. In the box, it comes with the tensiometer, a spoke gauge checker, and a lookup chart for different spoke gauges and materials. Now, Noble wheels are one of my personal sponsors, and I subject all my wheels to a lot of abuse. So let's use this tool to see how the TR37s are holding up on my GT sensor. And for what it's worth, I haven't touched these wheels since I built the bike up. Messing around with wheels is something I really like to avoid, but luckily for me, Noble's website has some great documentation to help me walk through this process. It looks like these spokes should be tensioned between 120 to 130 kilograms force. So, knowing this, I can go around the wheel to see if there are any spokes that may be outside of this range. Now, after going around, it looks like all the spokes on this wheel are within the good range, so that means this wheel has plenty of life left. So those are all the products we'll be taking a look at in this video. If you have any suggestions for products we should look at in future videos, or if you have any personal experience with any of the products in this video, leave a comment below. As always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today, and I'll see you guys next time.